The best beer in the world.
Good evening and welcome on a night when the Soviet Union reached the final after defeating a most disappointing Italian side. On a wet evening in Stuttgart, the Italians, who had been so entertaining in their first three matches, sadly reverted to their defensive tradition. Right from the start, Belgian referee Alexis Bonnet lived up to his card-waving reputation, as the Russians showed they could match Italian aggression. Already in the first minute, the Russian defender Kuznetsov was shown the yellow card, his second of the tournament, which rules him out of Saturday's final. He was the first of four Russians to be cautioned in a first half in which both teams seemed content to sit back and wait for their opponents to make an error. Chances were few and far between, the most significant coming just before the half-time whistle, when Giuseppe Giannini's fine header from Donadoni's free kick produced the outstanding save of the match from the Russian captain and goalkeeper Rinat Desaev. Alessandro Altobelli replaced Mancini for the second half, a tactical switch which at the end of the day can only be called a grave error. Altobelli may have scored against Denmark, but at the age of 32 he lacks the pace which once made him so successful. The Soviets, who had looked the more composed from the start, finally got the breakthrough their patience had deserved. Mikhailichenko fed Gennady Letovchenko, who rode several tackles while never losing his balance, and prodded the ball past Zenger. Only 2 minutes later, the Russians made sure of their first final since 1972. Zafarov, who was outstanding in midfield, raced down the left, beat Bergomi, and passed to the feet of centre-forward Protasov, who coolly lifted the ball over an exposed Zenger. Italy never looked like recovering. Their manager, Azeglio Vicini, tonight was proved right. Even before this tournament started, he had constantly expressed the view that for his young team, this was only a stepping stone to the next World Cup. They still had some chances, particularly Vialli could have done better when well placed 6 metres out, but he rashly volleyed over. A disciplined and confident performance by the Russians, who've looked stronger but never as exciting as during the last World Cup. The final then is a repeat of the first game in Group 2, but Holland, with Marco van Basten leading the way, now look a somewhat different proposition to the side which then lost so naively by 1-0. Not quite the final many had looked forward to, but which still has all the ingredients for a match to crown Europe's premier football tournament. I'll be back for our final report on that game at 11:30 on Saturday evening. Till then, good night.
The 1988 European Football Championships report by Carlsberg. Carlsberg, probably the best beer in the world.
Grundig, not responsible for side effects.
Das sind 5% weniger, also 1,7% mehr. Mal sah, die Grafik sieht aus wie die alten Menschen.
Manchmal ist es doch wirklich zum Verrücktwerden. Man meint, alles ist klar, doch der am anderen Ende versteht immer nur Bahnhof. Man erklärt, redet und redet. Es ist zum Verzweifeln.
Hallo?
Bitte. Es gibt doch dieses Computersystem, das Texte, Daten, Grafiken und Bilder jederzeit klar und verständlich dorthin bringt, wo sie gebraucht werden. Dieses System kommt von Nixdorf. Nixdorf Computer.
Das Ernst vom Bruder Welch.
You're in good shape, active and fit. You need energy and you're doing it.
Jetzt gibt's ein zweites Maß. Das neue Maß Mandel. Mit Milch, Schoki und knusperknackigen Mandeln drin. Ob klassisch oder knackig, Maß ist jetzt zweifach gut. Einmal so, einmal so.
Mein Back hat die große Frische, diese tolle Frische, die der Haut so gut tut. Mein Back duftet voller Frische. Heute gibt es nichts, was mich noch halten kann. Mit Back fühlst du dich so gut, so frisch. Den ganzen Tag probier das neue Back.
Das neue Back. Spritzige Frische für den ganzen Tag.
The ultimate in sporting style and dexterity. The suplex, the clothesline, the body slam. Classic techniques for all time. Superstars of wrestling. Saturday at 8:30 on Sky.
Palm trees, cactuses, and snow. Just another day in the life of the 1988 Tour de Suisse.
The 1988 Tour de Suisse is brought to you in association with EcoStar and Mobile Fiesta.
Welcome in Locarno for stage number 8 in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. It's 29 degrees, well maybe not now, but it will be here in Locarno. And as you have seen yesterday at the Nouvena Pass, it was 5 degrees. Well, we're going up there again tonight. Beautiful contrasts in the Tour de Suisse. Sean Kelly, a guy who did very well in the time trial and sprinting at the peloton yesterday, coming off that Nouvena here in Locarno. Sean, you said you were testing yourself in this Tour de Suisse. Is that part of the test?
Well, yesterday, yes. Well, the time trial was a test. If you can ride a good time trial, well then it proves that the form is pretty good. And yesterday in the Newfoundland I rode very well. I was in the front group and without any problems. But yesterday there was only one big climb, so it's not really a big test. Today is really the big test because we have 4 mountain tops to go over. So today is really the big day.
Today indeed is the big daddy. If there's anything to be changed in the overall standings, it has to happen today.
Yes, well if there's anything to change, it's today, because in the 2 days that come after, there's nothing I don't think can change, because it's, you know, they're pretty easy stages. And for us with the Silva, they are in a good position to win the race. Well, you know, we're going to try and do, if we can do something today, today's the day to do it.
Is there a plan for attacking?
Well, not really a plan. We see how the race developed in the beginning, and if we ride very fast in the beginning of the first call, well then that's okay for us. But we see how the race develops, and there we decide a tactic. You can't really decide a tactic before the race.
Things didn't work out completely all right for Da Silva until now, but things work out very well for you. So it seems you look sharp, you look fit, you're growing to the 100% for the Tour de France. Is that correct?
Yes, well, I started off this tour, and the first couple of days it was difficult. It's been very fast, the tour, and you know, it's riding very, very hard every day. And for me, it was very hard in the beginning, the first 2 or 3 days. But every day I seem to be getting better, and yesterday was one of my best days. I felt really good, and hopefully it can continue today. And if that's the case, well then I will be very happy.
Then Sean Kelly will be very happy, and he will be even more happy if Da Silva, his teammate, can do something about that yellow jersey of Helmut Wechselberger. But there's Bauer, there's Jerman, and maybe there are others in this big daddy. Let's watch and see what happens from Locarno to Ruhr. Well, what's lying ahead of them is the St. Gotthard Passhöhe and the Oberalp Pass, both first category mountains, and then the Versam, a third category one, and then it's into Ruhr from the Lenzerheide after 223 kilometers. Well, we see Wechselberger still on the lead, but maybe Bauer, Da Silva and Jerman are up to something. But first, let's say goodbye to a waking up Locarno. I'm sorry I couldn't finish the whole road. But let's hope the rest of the 246 kilometers from Locarno to Chur is okay. I did 1 kilometer and I was very tired after that, I can assure you. Well, the riders must have been surely awake at the beginning of this stage, because they had an average of 47.5 kilometers in the first hour, and that's really amazing hard. Here we are in that first hour, and we have seen in that part of the race a lot of escapes, little escapes of Gilbert Glaus. We see with number 49, who had to leave the course later on. He felt a little bit ill. We saw Phil Anderson very active in the beginning of the race, but they were all very little tiny escapes, and a little plan of Sean Kelly at the SKA Gold Sprint, where you can win 10 seconds bonification. He tried to push Da Silva there, but Jan Goosens, the guy in that shirt, he took that first place and the 10 seconds. Well, here at the beginning of the beautiful mountains, the whole bunch is together. They raced that first part very hard, but they're now sort of relaxing and gaining strength into that first category mountain, a big one, the St. Gotthard Passheuvel, with an altitude of 2,044 meters. As we pass the big strada, the outer route over the mountains into Milan, that goes, but the riders take the difficult road. As we see here up front, two teammates of the yellow jersey guy, Helmut Wechselberger. It's on the left Lieti and on the right Contini, and they are making the tempo at this part of the race for Helmut Wechselberger. Coming out of this curve, we see here one rider who doesn't like the tempo at all. And who's that? It's the amazing Stefan Joho again, who did ever so well in the first stage, as you all surely remember. We showed you that on Sky Channel, that stage in Dubendorf. He won it there. He was the first guy in the yellow jersey in this 1988, this beautiful 1988 Tour de Suisse. He's going very well, this Stefan Joho, although he's not a very good climber. He told us that at the end of that first stage. He said, well, I'm not going for the yellow jersey. I'm happy that I won this first stage, but the big mountains are too big for me. But he's showing something else here. He's definitely going very well, as we are in Airolo now after 79 kilometers, and that means that there's now a stiff climb up into the St. Gotthard Passheuvel. 13 kilometers of climbing. And he surely is doing very well, Stefan Joho, at this part of the race. 24 years old, and in fact last year he was with the team of Sean Kelly, who sees now here up front of the peloton that he's 3 minutes behind of his former teammate Stefan Joho. But he doesn't look too worried. He's making the tempo for Da Silva. Da Silva, who's there with the orange jersey. Kelly looks where he is. In fact, if you are an expert in recognizing silhouettes, you can see that Kelly's up front and his shadow is Da Silva. And who is coming out of the shade? It's the number 3 there. It's Helmut Wechselberger, of course the overall leader in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. And in 4th position we recognize Steven Rooks, who's also training for the Tour de France. Well, this guy isn't surely training for the Tour de France. He's showing himself in this 1988 Tour de Suisse, and he did it until now in a great way. In the first stage in Dubendorf, and now climbing up the St. Gotthard. And in fact he's doing that so very well after 13 kilometers of stiff climbing that he's the winner of this first one, the first category mountain. And the peloton, in fact, at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. We saw there Peter de Klerk, the leader in the Isostar Berg Prize. He was there second, and we saw Wechselberg pass by. And in fact, it's a big group, and that means, with all respects to the efforts of Stefan Joho, they must have been holding something back until now. And in fact, they are right. The job isn't done yet for them. Join us in part 2 for more about this most important stage of the 1988 Tour de Suisse.
Jetzt gibt's ein zweites Maß. Das neue Maß Mandel. Mit Milch, Schoki und knusperknackigen Mandeln drin. Ob klassisch oder knackig, Maß ist jetzt zweifach gut. Einmal so, einmal so.
Mein Back hat die große Frische, diese tolle Frische, die der Haut so gut tut. Mein Back duftet voller Frische, heute gibt es nichts, was mich noch halten kann. Mit Back fühlst du dich so gut, so frisch, den ganzen Tag probier das neue Back.
Das neue Back. Spritzige Frische für den ganzen Tag.
Das sind 5% weniger, also 1,7% mehr. Mal sah, die Grafik sieht aus wie die alten Menschen.
Manchmal ist es doch wirklich zum Verrücktwerden. Man meint, alles ist klar, doch der am anderen Ende versteht immer nur Bahnhof. Man erklärt, redet und redet. Es ist zum Verzweifeln.
Hallo?
Bitte. Es gibt doch dieses Computersystem, das Texte, Daten, Grafiken und Bilder jederzeit klar und verständlich dorthin bringt, wo sie gebraucht werden. Dieses System kommt von Nixdorf. Nixdorf Computer.
Das Ende vom Weltsch.
Monday on Sky, Mobile One Motorsports News. Keeping you up to date with the latest in international motorsports. Find out what's happened and what's happening in the exciting action-packed world of motorsports. Mobile One Motorsports News, Monday at 10 on Sky.
Welcome back to Sky Channel's coverage of the 1988 Tour de Suisse. And we are in fact at this moment at the Andermatt after 105.5 kilometers looking at Stefan Joho, who is now at the bottom of the Oberalp Passhöhe. Another big one to wait for him. It has an altitude of 2,044 meters. And the peloton is coming closer and closer to Stefan Joho, although in this moment they're still not giving their best. You can see that at the amount of riders who are still together. Normally, if the big guys who really can climb would give everything, then there would be more and more riders who have to give in. So it's still Stefan Joho on the lead, and here Gert-Jan Teunissen from the PDM team is showing himself now together with his teammate Steven Rooks. And here he is, the race leader, the 35-year-old Helmut Wechselberger, or as he has said, 35 years young, with Sean Kelly and Acacio da Silva. And you just had a glimpse of Steve Bauer. And as I said, they're not still giving everything they have, because if there's time to drink when you're climbing up a mountain, then you know it's not going 100%. But still, it's tough and it's rough. So cheers, Gert-Jan Teunissen. And as you can see now, Stefan Joho reaching the end of his climbing up the Oberhalp Passhöhe, and he'll be very, very happy to be there at the end of the first category mountain. In fact, it's the last first category mountain in the 1988 Tour de Suisse, and look at his face. He has given everything after kilometer 65, tried maybe to get away a bit further than he is at this moment. Steven Rooks leading the peloton with Gert-Jan Teunissen, and in fourth position we see Helmut Wechselberger and Da Silva. Steven Rooks, you see that bandage on his arm, you know how that happened. He crashed a few days ago together with Jaime Thomas, but his arm doesn't hurt that much anymore. And in fact, Stefan Joho is the winner of the Iserstadt Berg Prize at the Oberhalp Passe, and that means, well, we're not halfway this stage, in fact, that the greatest difficulties are in fact behind him. And what goes up must go down, and he's doing that, in fact, at a rate of, let's say, 80 to 90 kilometers an hour. It's amazing that he can do that. Well, in fact, more riders can do that. We show you that later. And there he goes, Stefan Joho. It's difficult for our motor rider to follow him. And there's the rest of the peloton with the amazing young American guy, Mike Carter, there up front with, of course, the Silva and Wechselberger in fifth position around the bend here. And it's about time that the guys at the number 2, the number 3 and the number 4 position in the overall standings are going to try to do something. As Stefan Joho has done. Well, he tried it, didn't get away too far, and he gives in at this moment as who is that fellow who passes him by? It looked like Fuchs maybe, and Stefan Joho tries to get to Fuchs again. Well, if he can do that, it really would be amazing. Can he get to that guy up front, from who I think it is Fabian Fuchs in fact? Well, that means, yeah, it is Fuchs, that this is the first serious attack in this 8th stage in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. Fabian Fuchs, he's at the 9th position at this moment in the overall standings, 10 minutes behind of Wechselberger. And we saw that Joho can't keep up with Fuchs, so it's Fuchs now on the lead. And making real big tempo, as he makes profit also that from the fact that our motor rider is right in front of him. And there he goes, the guy from the Cinderella Isotonic team, and he's chased by Peter de Klerk, who escaped also from the peloton. Well, that's not a guy for the overall standings, but that's a guy who's maybe there to defend his EuroSport Bergpreis jersey, because we are facing up a 3rd category mountain within a few kilometers, and if he can be there, then he for sure has that jersey, and that would be a great thing. Well, there's more riders coming behind Fuchs. It's now a bunch of maybe 9 or 10 riders with Rolf Jerman and Steve Bauer. Well, the race is off now, because I can't see Wechselberger at this moment. Is he there or is he not there? Is Wechselberger losing time at this moment? Well, we see Rolf Jerman making tempo. That surely must mean that Wechselberger is not there. They're grabbing their chance at this moment. Rolf Jerman, the 22 years old switch, and this Steve Bauer. Great effort they make at this moment. And behind him it's Michel Dernies. Well, he's not that important at this moment, with all respect, Michel, but it's Steve Bauer, the number 2 in the overall standings, who's really making an effort. And at this time in the race, he has a lead of 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And that means that, in fact, if the race should end here, Steve Bauer would be the new leader in the overall standings in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. But in fact, it doesn't end here, and it's a long way to go yet. But, as I say, Helmut Wechselberger is in trouble now. It's Jerman making the tempo, and Steve Bauer giving everything they got at this moment. Well, and Steve Bauer knows also that it's a long way. In fact, he's trying to make sure how long. I think it's about 60 kilometers to go for those bunch of 10 there up front of the peloton. But can they hold out? Can they make that to the end? Well, let's first see who is there at Versam after 180.5 kilometers. It is in fact Peter de Klerk. He grabs his points for the EuroSport Bergpreis jersey, and he's the guy who will bring that to Zurich if nothing happens to him. Well, let's wait and see. There is Siboni, there's Da Silva, and there's Wechselberger too over that mountain. And they are behind at this moment 1 minute and 40 seconds. That means that Wechselberger is coming back as we are descending into beautiful narrow scenery of the 1988 Tour de Suisse into the valley after Versam, in fact into Bonaduz. But you know, of course, this group is behind. In front of them there's the Wechselberger group, and in front of that group there is the bunch with Steve Bauer and Rolf Jerman. And Fabian Fuchs, of course, is there with Here passed by number 27. That was Rolf Jerman in his jersey, which means that he's the best young rider at the moment in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. Well, and he surely proves it now. Gert-Jan Teunis is in that group, Peter de Klerk. And problems for, yeah, that's Urs Freuler, the guy with the number 1, who is desperately trying to win a stage in this Tour de Suisse, in his Tour de Suisse, but it seems to go wrong every day for Urs Freuler. As we are in one of those big tunnels. Oh, it's beautiful but dangerous. You have to be very careful when you're riding there. Well, we have now here Acacio da Silva as we are facing up the Lenzerheide, and that means we have a total change of situation now. Bauer and Jerman they have given in. They had troubles climbing up the Lenzerheide. Da Silva has made a great effort, and together with Leclerc with the number 16 and Luc Rosen, he is with a group of 4 riders at this moment climbing up that second category mountain. And that means that maybe Da Silva is trying to make an effort to get Wechselberger out of the yellow jersey. Acacio Da Silva, winner of that Isostar bag prize on the second category mountain, and he is riding away from Teunissen, from Rosen, who are talking together from who is going behind Da Silva. Well, in fact, it's Luc Rosen who does the job, so they will be with 4 again, but you can see they don't work together very well, and that means that Da Silva can't get too far away from Wechselberger. In fact, this group of 4 is 25 seconds ahead of a big group where's Wechselberger and where Steve Bauer was, but he escaped again. Well, that's really amazing. What a great effort this Canadian rider is doing. He knows that at this time, as you saw, we have 240 kilometers behind us. He can't get Wechselberger out of the yellow jersey, but he can fight for this stage. And that's what he's doing at the moment. He's there with Leclerc, his teammate Jean-Claude Leclerc, and it's now 5 riders into Goor, who you see there, down there. 5 riders: Luc Rosen, Gert-Jan Teunissen, Jean-Claude Leclerc with number 16, Acacio Da Silva, and Steve Bauer. Oh, what a great descent he must have made. Well, you can see that here he is up front all the time, going into Goor now, and that means just a few kilometers ahead for those 5 riders who no doubt that 20 seconds behind them Wechselberger is, so he's safe for the yellow jersey. But who is going to win this big stage, this great stage, this 1988 Tour de Suisse, the 8th one? Who is going to be that guy? Is it Acacio Da Silva? Well, he's not in the best position. Maybe he's trying to gain some time for Wechselberger, but that's all what's left for him, because when you're riding up front, as he is doing at this moment, then you are not in a good position. There is it Steve Bauer? Yeah, it's Steve Bauer. We're in the last 500 meters now. Steve Bauer, who's going away. Jean-Claude Leclerc gives in. He's done his job for his teammate, and now it's up to Steve Bauer. Can Luc Rosen get to the last wheel of Steve Bauer? Can he get there? No, he can't get there. Steve Bauer, with all the power which left in him, he wins this 8th stage. Well done, Steve Bauer. It's in the second place, Luc Rosen, and look at that, Jean-Claude Leclerc. He's happy, of course, because his teammate won this 8th stage. And let me see, there's Wechselberger already in the group behind that, and he's not losing too much time. Well, he must have worked very hard, and in fact, it's Sean Kelly who's doing the sprint as the best, testing himself again, and there's Wechselberger. Oh, and a happy Steve Bauer. He didn't get the yellow jersey, but in fact, he did get this 8th stage. Well done, Steve Bauer. And what a great winner after a tremendous stage today, Steve Bauer from Canada, the guy who attacked and the guy who nearly did the job. Steve, you must be happy winning this stage, I think.
Well, I rode the race very conservatively for most of the day until after the first 2 climbs. There was a lot of action in the valley, and I thought I'd try my chance, you know, with Yerman, and we rode very strongly, but the peloton came back, and then Acacio went away on the climb. I just waited until the descent. I caught the front group and won the sprint.
Yeah, you won the sprint. You did a great job. Did you ever think about the fact that you were, in fact, in yellow jersey during the race?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I wasn't being too overconfident because I knew they would be riding behind, because, you know, if they didn't ride behind, then it would be between me and Yerman. So I thought for sure they would ride behind.
Yeah, you are doing greater and greater. You're coming close to Wechselberger now, but it's still more than 1 minute. That's too much, I think.
Well, like in this race, anything can happen the way the attacks are going. I think Wechselberger, he defended his jersey very well today. I think he was at his very limit on the last climb, but he defended his jersey very well.
All right, Steve, thanks very much, and happy congratulations. I mean, you must have a little party tonight, all right?
Thank you.
All right, that was Steve Bauer, the great man of this stage, the 8th stage here, finishing in Goor. Well, let's look at the rest of the results, and then, of course, the overall standings. As you can see, Sean Kelly, the first of the group with Wechselberger, loses only 19 seconds. So that means that Wechselberger is safe for the moment. Steve Bauer, well done. He's still in second place, as you can see, now 1 minute and 39 seconds behind. And as you could hear him say, he is there with a sprinkling of hope. Well, that was it from the 8th stage, the most difficult one, from Locarno to Chur, over 247 kilometers with a great winner, Steve Bauer. You saw that. But this guy, if you've seen our program, he did very well in his mountains. A little flea who climbs up those things as if it's nothing, Mike.
Oh, it's more than nothing. It's pretty difficult. It really took it out of me today. I don't have anything left.
And now the difficult part is over, huh?
Oh yeah, there's tomorrow. The next 2 days are not really nothing. They're still difficult, so I gotta survive those 2, and then it's over.
And then you're one of the few of the Zero boys who will end the Tour de Suisse 1988. Great job.
Thank you very much, Leo. Thank you.
Mike Carter, one of those great guys in this 1988 Tour de Suisse. Be sure to watch us tomorrow night at 11 o'clock European time for the 9th stage into Schaffhausen.
The 1988 Tour de Suisse is brought to you in association with EcoStar and Mobile Vista.
Stay tuned for motorbike racing from the Netherlands in the Michelin 1988 Assen TT, followed by a current affairs update in Roving Report. Current affairs next, but tomorrow on Sky, we take the Western Trail at 6 and bring you double domestic comedy from 6:30. Then one man's secret source of strength makes him the Incredible Hulk. And look out for incredible designs in Fashion TV at 8:30. Wrestle your way to the top at 9. Drive off with world-class single-seater motors at 10 and get on your bike for the Tour de Suisse at 11. Finally, Skytrax. News and weather at these times.
From the sun-drenched Mediterranean, George Hamilton turns on the charm.
Sexy tiger, you?
In Sky's crazy comedy movie romp, Togetherness.
Togetherness? That's a pretty name.
All my life I've searched for a woman who would love me, for my mind, and not just think of me as another pretty face.
Join George Hamilton for love and laughs in Togetherness. Sky's movie, Sunday at 8:30.
Das sind 5% weniger, also 1,7% mehr. Mal sah, die Grafik sieht aus wie die alten Menschen.
Manchmal ist es doch wirklich zum Verrücktwerden. Man meint, alles ist klar, doch der am anderen Ende versteht immer nur Bahnhof. Man erklärt, redet und redet. Es ist zum Verzweifeln.
Hallo?
Bitte. Es gibt doch dieses Computersystem, das Texte, Daten, Grafiken und Bilder jederzeit klar und verständlich dorthin bringt, wo sie gebraucht werden. Dieses System kommt von Nixdorf. Nixdorf Computer.
Das Ernst vom Bruder Welch.
Mein Back hat die große Frische, diese tolle Frische, die der Haut so gut tut. Mein Back duftet voller Frische, heute gibt es nichts, was mich noch halten kann. Mit Back fühlst du dich so gut, so frisch, den ganzen Tag probier das neue Back.
Das neue Back. Spritzige Frische für den ganzen Tag.
You're in good shape, active and fit. You need energy and you're doing it.
Jetzt gibt's ein zweites Maß. Das neue Maß Mandel. Mit Milch, Schoki und knusperknackigen Mandeln drin. Ob klassisch oder knackig, Maß ist jetzt zweifach gut. Einmal so, einmal so.
New Corrie, her latest songs on a wonderful compact disc, album and music cassette. Corrie sings like only Corrie can sing on this fantastic album. Voor jou alleen, Corrie.
For Michelin, each victory is a new start. Torture, analyze, rip the road, innovate. For Michelin, each start is a new challenge. Michelin, the will to always go further.
Can walk, skip, run. A small hop for one man, a great step forward for mankind.
This message was brought to you in the interests of the better use of feet.
From the sun-drenched Mediterranean, George Hamilton turns on the charm.
Sexy tiger, you?
In Sky's crazy comedy movie romp, Togetherness.
Togetherness. That's a pretty name.
All my life I've searched for a woman who would love me, for my mind, and not just think of me as another pretty face.
Join George Hamilton for love and laughs in Togetherness, Sky's movie, Sunday at 8:30.
Sky Channel brings you SkyText, Europe's premier teletext service. SkyText gives you the most up-to-date guide to all your favorite programs, as well as pages of entertaining games, quizzes and competitions. SkyText also offers a multilingual service, which is expanding throughout Europe. So far in Holland, Sweden and Norway, viewers can receive teletext information, news and advertising in their own language. SkyText, Europe's #1 information service.
After 6 days of sunshine and warm weather, it's now into the snow and the mountains. More incredible contrasts in the 1988 Tour de Suisse.
The 1988 Tour de Suisse is brought to you in association with EcoStar and Mobile Fista.
Hello and welcome to the 1988 Sky Channel's coverage of the Tour de Suisse. It's here with me, Steve Bauer. Good morning, Steve. The number 2 in the overall standings. Somebody say that's surprisingly. Is it?
Well, it all started on a fairly interesting breakaway with back in the early part of the race, where the breakaway with De Silva, Weschelberger, myself, and Jurman, we were taking 8 minutes out of the rest of the peloton, which was a very strange situation. So I find myself in a situation where I have a chance to win the Tour de Suisse, and I'll do my best to do just that.
You're almost 2 minutes behind the number one of this moment, Wechselberger. Do you think those 2 minutes is a possible distance for you to cope with?
Well, it's never impossible. I think Wechselberger is riding very, very strong. He proved yesterday he's one of the strongest, riding second in the time trial. I think if I can minimize my losses in the mountains and possibly have a chance, in the latter stages, it's always a possibility to come back.
Yeah, we've seen you climbing. You can climb, but only in one tempo, your own tempo. You're not a real specialist on that, is it?
No, it's actually climbing the big mountains is my weakness, but I'm a little bit lighter than I have been in the past, and I'm feeling in good condition, so I can't see any reason, if I'm really motivated, to follow the best.
Well, good luck today, because there's a big one coming, huh?
It's a big one, but it's only one, so we'll see what happens.
All right, good luck, Steve Bauer. And we're talking about the Nuvener Passenheuer, who's in the middle of this stage. Well, let's look how the riders have done this 207 kilometers from Leukerbad into Locarno. Well, we mustn't forget that there's one more mountain in this stage, the Fisch. It's after 65.5 kilometers, and it's a second category mountain, plus the Nuvener Passheuer. It will be a hard stage. And let's look at the overall standings after that time trial at the Inden yesterday. Helmut Wechselberger, who took the yellow jersey from Acacio da Silva in a tremendous race. And Steve Bauer now, the Canadian guy, at second position, and he knows all about it. Acacio da Silva still thinking about his sins yesterday. Well, it wasn't really a sin. He tried his best. It's a fair thing, a time trial, an individual time trial, and he knows it. He was fairly beaten by that great Austrian guy, Helmut Wechselberger. Well, we're off now in a sheer descent from the Inden, from that nice town, Leukerbad, who we visited for 2 days, and the riders will be very happy that they can go this way down now after climbing this Inden twice. All riders still together were in fact 113 this morning, who started off that 207 kilometer stage. And look at it, I tell you once more, Switzerland, it surely is one of the most beautiful countries. You can see it here as we are going down the Inden. All riders still together, and at the back of the group we see here with number 41 Jos Alberts, who had a very bad day. In fact, it was so bad that he had to climb into the broom wagon, as we call it. The wagon who's at the back of the peloton, and that means that he has given in, that he is on his way home now, Jos Alberts. It's a pity, it's one more zero boy out. And there weren't too many left, as you know. Here, Helmut Wechselberger, the proud overall leader in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. Very confident at the start, and indeed very confident in this race. Surrounded by teammates, of course, they know they have to protect him. A guy like Silvano Contini, who is of course a very good rider from itself, he knows he has to work now for his leader, Helmut Wechselberger. A few kilometers further, 24 kilometers, the first breakaway of the day, John Thalen ahead of the group, the number last in the overall standings, away with André Achermann and the little guy from the Roland team, Patrick Rouland. John Thalen, in fact, did this trick a year ago, as we look at Patrick Rouland. He did this trick to try and get as much time ahead of the peloton as they have to start climbing up that Nuvener Passheuer. Then he might just finish in time today. That's his aim, not winning this stage. He knows that'll be impossible for this John Thalen. But maybe André Achermann has another idea, and maybe Patrick Rouland can do a little bit more than just come in time. And Daniel Caroli, the Italian guy, knows that these three guys are doing very well, and he has been seeing them right on front the peloton because they had 200 meters for a long time, and he knows this is the moment to jump and get to those three guys and maybe break away with four. And there's Achermann looking at who's joining him. It's Daniel Caroli, he sees that now, and he's joining in the group, and the group works now with four together. Thalen at the lead, Rouland behind him, Daniel Caroli, and at the back of the group, André Achermann, the domestique of D'Acasio da Silva and Sean Kelly. And as he looks back, he knows they're on their way. And there's 3 more guys on their way. It's the number 60 Rudy Verdonk, Jaime Thomas, who we see now in a positive way, and Francesco Cesarini. Those 3 now chasing the group of 4 who is ahead of them. Jaime Thomas, who was involved in a crash twice in this 1988 Tour de Suisse, now looking in much better shape and tried to do something positive this time. And it seems as if he's succeeding with his 2 companions, because there in front of you can see that they are closing in on the 4 guys on the lead. So it must be 7 now. The 7 guys of the early breakaway in this 7th stage. It's Caroli up front there, and with him John Talen and Acherman. Yes, it's a bunch of 7 guys climbing up the 2nd category mountain after 65.5 kilometers. And let's take a look at the peloton. And as I told you, there you see with number 114, Daniel Lorentzon, one of the teammates of Helmut Wechselberger. Helmut Wechselberger just disappeared out of our pictures. Here on the right, Stefan Joho, Phil Anderson is there, Beat Broy. But Wechselberger hangs in at front of the peloton. Patrick Rouland having a little bit of problems there, climbing up that 2nd category mountain. John Talen also at the back of the group, but with all respect, this is really nothing compared to what's lying ahead of them, the Nouvene Passover. Rudy Verdonk comes in at first. He grabs some points for the Isostar Berg Prize. We're still in the hands of the young Belgian guy Leclerc, but let's wait and see how it is after today and after tomorrow, where big mountains are lying ahead in the 1988 Tour de Suisse. And you see, this is Switzerland. After climbing that mountain, that's what you get as a reward. You have to keep on climbing. The mountain seems to be finished, but there it is. Keep on going. And John Talen looking back, well, we must have passed that sign. Yeah, you did, John, but there's another job for you waiting. Not for those people who enjoy watching those guys struggling in the 1988 Tour de Suisse, but they're doing very well. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. They are now ahead of the peloton, and that means that maybe John Talen reaches his aim, that he has a bit of time left over climbing up that Nouvene Pass. But there are other guys who have more plans, like maybe André Acherman. I told you before, a very good domestique, 29 years old now, always works hard for Kelly and for Da Silva. And now maybe it's his chance, maybe it's his day. Caroli, what can we expect of him? John Talen, well, I told you about him, and this guy may be very surprisingly indeed. The young Patrick Rouland, it's a small guy, in fact as small as Beat Broy is, and we all know how he can climb, so maybe this guy can do that as well. Let's wait and see. Ahead of the group now, it is Jaime Thomas, doing okay now, together with Rudy Verdonk, Daniel Caroli, and Cesarini, Talen, Acherman and Rouland. They're the bunch, and it's looking lovely and sunny, but the daunting Nouvene is waiting for them and for you. Join us after the break for more Tour de Suisse.
A man hiding from his identity.
See, my paper is offering $10,000 to anybody who can help us find the Hulk.
And from the rage that festers within him, unleashed, he becomes the Incredible Hulk.
You can't be real.
A gentle giant and a beast of superhuman strength. A monster born of anger. The Incredible Hulk, tonight at 7:30 on Sky. Friday's movie classic. From Agatha Christie's spine-chilling thriller comes Love from a Stranger.
Murderers and their mistakes. Famous murder trial.
Honeymooner Cecily is in mortal danger.
The cellar's my laboratory, my office, and no one at all is down there except myself.
You know, you do act curious sometimes.
You shouldn't go marrying strange men down there.
Love from a Stranger. Friday at 8:30 on Sky. Wednesday and Saturday, Shell International Motorsports. From across Europe and around the globe, we bring you the latest in what's happening in this action-powered Sky exclusive.
Shell International Motorsports. Be there for all the excitement, Wednesday night and Saturday afternoon on Sky.
Welcome back to part 2 of Sky Channel's coverage of the 1988 Tour de Suisse, as we are in Ulrichen with spectacular pictures from the helicopter with our cameraman Korfos really hanging in there. And seeing now that the peloton was stopped at the beginning of the Nouvener, you saw the 4 guys ahead. They were really making profit out of that with this guy Cesarini up front. It stopped the peloton for 1 minute and 18 seconds. That means that at the beginning of the climb of the Nouvener Pass, however, where we are now, as you can see at the snow on the left, they are ahead 9 minutes. And they are only 3 guys left. Jaime Thomas, and we saw Francesco Cesarini and André Egelman. It's tough, you can see that. Look at the face of Cesarini. They know they have to work real hard. It's a 14 kilometers climb. Boy oh boy, and as you see now, it's already very tough, and it's gonna be even rougher and rougher. We will see that. And here, as I told you, the peloton at 9 minutes. Well, they are still together now. We can see Helmut Wechselberger a little bit up front there, and he's all surrounded by teammates. Contini is there, one of the strongest climbers in his team. Lorenzon is still there for him. And of course, as you can look at the orange jersey, Acacio da Silva still there. Sean Kelly must be there. It's a CAS guy, you can see that. It's a little bit different color than the yellow jersey from Helmut Wechselberger. And we see Winterberger in the red jersey together with Helmut Wechselberger there. Ah, beautiful pictures. And still no snow for the peloton, but we have seen that the 3 guys ahead are in the snow already. There Caroli, not too far behind, but climbing up a stiff mountain as this is, it's too much. There's young Patrick Rouland. Well, he tries his best, you can see that. As we see that the peloton with Da Silva and Wechselberger together, the number 1 and the number 3 in the overall standings, that the peloton is reaching the snow also. No more woods, so the snow must be there. Van Lanker is passing through now, the Belgian guy from the Panasonic Isostar team. And there's Stefan Hodge together with Phil Anderson, Jan van Wijk from the Panasonic Isostar team. Well, they are a little bit more or less together, as we saw Stefan Rooks, but they will all be on their own later. Beautiful to look at, but really, really terrible to climb that mountain. As we look at the peloton, which gets more and more strung out. And they are further up. You can see that it's more and more snow, and then there were no 3, there were just 2. And we can see that that must be Agerman there with the yellow jersey. And then looking at the shirt, that must be Francesco Cesarini, the surprising Italian guy. We know that Agerman can climb very well, but we don't know too much about Francesco Cesarini. But if he's keep on doing as well as he's doing now, then we all know who that guy is. So it's 2 guys left, as they started off with 7. And there's Jaime Thomas. He was the last one who could hang in with those 2 guys up front, but he's in trouble now. But who isn't at this mountain? Even if you are up front, you're having troubles, I can tell you. There is Helmut Wechselberger with Da Silva, and that must be a CAS guy. That's Sean Kelly. Yeah, Sean Kelly helping Da Silva, and of course, as we all know, training for his Tour de France and showing himself again. Well, let's take a closer look at the group. It's Jean-Claude Leclerc, the winner yesterday with number 55, the surprisingly Belgian guy, Patrick Robet. He's even surprising himself every day, because how does he know to climb in mountains when you've never done it? Well, he's a talent for sure. Acacio da Silva is there. There's Arno Küttel, the Swiss guy who did very well in the first day, as you all remember. Jean-Claude Leclerc, we've seen him. We're passing now Luc Rosen, who won Saturday in Leukerbad. And there's young Mike Carter with number 47. And of course, Sean Kelly and Helmut Wechselberger. And from our helicopter, you can see it's Kelly who making a little bit tempo for Da Silva, with Wechselberger in the wheel of Da Silva. But where's Bauer at this moment, the number 2 in the overall? Is he there hanging in next to Wechselberger? Yeah, it must be. That must be Steve Bauer. And at the back of the group of 5, that's young Patrick Robet. Very well done. Beat Broy a little bit behind there. A Weinman guy, that's of course Jean-Claude Leclerc. And they're all fighting for themselves. And here, John Thalen. You know what I said before? I tried to reach that Nouvena Pass with enough time ahead of the rest of the group so that I can hang in there in this stage. And in fact, he succeeded. He came up at the Nouvena Pass together with Kelly and Da Silva. And that's okay. And those two guys are still up front, of course. Acherman and Francesco Cesarina in the big, huge, snowy mountain, the Nouvena Pass. And they're not there, not by a long way. Acherman and Francesco Cesarini. You saw Ulrichen, that was the start of the climb. That's 13 kilometers that they have been climbing now. And they're not there yet. But they are maybe now, as you can see, there are more people there standing. Yes, there's the Isostar Bergpress sign. After 98 kilometers, the Nouvena Pass is over and done with for our two lads, for André Acherman and Francesco Cesarini. They are almost there, and then it's down into Locarno. In fact, all the way down. 109 kilometers more to go when Francesco Cesarini is the first one to pass the Nouvena Passheuvel, together with André Acherman. And this is the beautiful roof of the 1988 Tour de Suisse. Well, some other guys have passed now. That's of course Jaime Thomas, Patrick Rouland. He did very well. And we are looking at the head of the peloton where all the guys from the overall standings are together and where Mike Carter is grabbing some points for the Isostar Berg Prize and grabbing a paper. And why is he doing that? Well, he's going to put that between his shirt and his body to keep warm, because when you're descending in a temperature of 5 degrees, that was it there, up there, 5 degrees, and you're going down, well, you can freeze. And we see Helmut Wechselberg passing the Nouvena Passheuvel now. He's in no danger, no trouble, looking strong, looking confident, that 35-year-old Austrian leader of the 1988 Tour de Suisse. And what contrasts we've brought you here on Sky in the past week of the Tour de Suisse. And what a beautiful country Switzerland is. So it's descending now as we look at Beat Broy, the little guy who hang in there at the group with Wechselberger. He tried to be a stage winner Saturday and Sunday. He didn't succeed. He was second and he was fourth. But maybe tomorrow will be his day. And the two leaders are at the feeding station now, at the bottom of the mountain at Airola after 121 kilometers. André Acherman and Francesco Cesarini working together very well and going very strong. And this is the number 6 and the number 7 in the stage of this moment. It's Mauro Giannatti and his teammate Guido Winterberg trying to get his foot. Yeah, you must pay attention, but that's because Winterberg is in a different shirt, of course. They are teammates, the number 18 and the number 14, and Giannatti is in a good position at the overall standings, and that's why Winterberg tries to get Giannatti as far away as possible from Wechselberger to get him a little bit closer in that overall standings. But of course they know that Wechselberger is a safe and fine leader. But the stage of today, will it be those two guys who are going to fight for the prize? Probably, because 6 minutes later this group found each other and came in at Junasco 17 kilometers from the end. It's Caroli, Rouland and the other guys we've seen before, and here's the peloton with Wechselberger. Into the streets of Locarno now, as we see Da Silva waving his hand for their two leaders. And can Acherman beat that attack of Francesco Cesarini? Acherman tries to get at the back of the wheel of Cesarini. Cesarini, who didn't do much work at the last 20 kilometers. He let Acherman do the job and makes profit out of that, because I don't see Acherman coming. No, Acherman will be too late there. It's Francesco Cesarini who's going to win in the Italian part of Switzerland, and that'll please those Italian guys, because this young fellow did very well. Yes, the hands are up. through the winner of the 7th stage, Francesco Cesarini. Second, oh, that's the worst place ever if you work so hard, André Acherman of the team of Kelly and Da Silva. And third will be Daniel Caroli. Yes, he is indeed Daniel Caroli, 3rd place. But that's 6 minutes later. And let's look at the peloton. Is Wechselberger still there? Well, let's look at the sprint first. It's Van Holen with Kelly. Kelly testing himself again and winning that sprint. And we look at Wechselberger. Is he there? Yeah, there's Wechselberger. And let's talk to the winner. And look at the sweat of this guy, Francesco Cesarini. What a great winner he is of this 7th stage here into Locarno. Francesco, dice tutto.
Ma siamo andati in fuga subito appena alla partenza e eravamo 8 corridori. Poi sul Nuffen Pass mi sono messo davanti, ho fatto l'andatura quasi tutta la salita io, è rimasta a ruota solo Ackerman. E qui in finale devo dire grazie anche a lui che ha tirato moltissimo, ma io ero un po' più fresco e qui ho vinto. È la mia seconda vittoria da professionista e sono molto contento di aver vinto qui in Svizzera.
Ok, un momento. He said, well, we went away before the Nuvener Pass and we could stay away until the end. On the Nuvener Pass it was Acherman and me, and in the final I could beat him in that last kilometer. How siete molto difficile Nuvener Pass?
Sì, molto difficile, però oggi un bel tempo, sole, e io con sole vado bene, niente problema perché avevo già 7 minuti all'inizio del Nuffen Pass e sopra ancora 5 minuti. Molto difficile fino all'arrivo, ma ce l'abbiamo fatta.
Ok. Molte grazie. Cesarini, who said, well, it was very, very tough on that Nuvener Pass. Well, we have all seen that in the snow and here at 29 degrees. And what a great winner he was. Together with Alfred Acherman, he did a job in this 7th stage. Well, let's take a look now at the other results and, of course, the overall standings. What a great winner, Francesco Cesarini, and he speaks Italian very well. André Acherman came in 2nd. And you see the difference, Caroli after 6 minutes at the 3rd place. Wechselberger, of course, still at the 1st position. And in 6th position now, Francesco Cesarini with 8 minutes and 40 seconds behind. That was all from Locarno. Tomorrow it will be even rougher. Brian, it was tough today on the Nuvener Pass.
Yeah, it was really hard. The first show was going fast. On the top I lost 10 minutes. I would just come back, 50 kilometers before the finish. And tomorrow, they'll even get it, harder.
Good luck tomorrow, Brian Stearns, to see how tired he is now. And you know, tomorrow will be even tougher. You can see it at Sky Channel, of course, at 23:35, that's European time. And be sure to watch our program, Sky Channel, Europe's #1, and our Tour de Suisse 9088. Till tomorrow.
The 1988 Tour de Suisse is brought to you in association with EcoStar and Mobile Vista.
Get up to date with worldwide events in Roving Report. And follow that with exciting rugby league from Down Under in the Sydney Winfield Premiership.
Why are you there all darling when you ought to be going straight on? Get those lights, those sunny golden highlights, and go straight on. do is spray on spray blonde hair lightener. Then watch those golden blonde highlights appear. Nothing's easier. Get those lights, those sunny golden highlights, and go spray blonde. Wouldn't you rather go spray blonde?
You know, I can still remember the very first sweets given to me by my grandfather. They were Werther's Original, and I was 4. I had a bit of trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and uncommonly good. I remember feeling I must be someone very special when my granddad gave me his wonderful butter candy. Well, now I'm the granddad. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? After all, he's someone very special too, you know.
Right now, your mouth could look something like this. A hard, ugly wall called tartar is building up around your teeth, and only your dentist can pull it down. But this wall is persistent. It won't stay down for very long. Which is why Colgate developed a toothpaste for adults, Colgate Tartar Control. This fluoride toothpaste not only tastes good, but will reduce tartar buildup on adult teeth, so they'll feel smoother and look cleaner. Colgate Tartar Control fights the buildup of tartar.
Behold the beer belly, the old spare tire, the La Panza. Millions of Europeans need help to get from flab towards flat, and here it is. Introducing the Gut Buster. It's the fitness machine designed specifically to help firm and flatten the stomach in just minutes a day. Just watch. This easy exerciser helps turn ordinary sit-ups into tummy-tightening power stretches. Each time you activate the resistant coils, you can help trade ugly flab for sinuous muscle. Just slip into the stirrups, curl your fingers around the molded hand grips, and row, row, row your way to a trimmer you. And ladies, if you're as serious as he is, that flat stomach you had in your school days can be yours again. Minutes a day is all it takes. Basic spring-ups like these work the upper abdominal region. Reverse for tension-assisted high risers that exercise the lower stomach muscles. This light but sturdy unit weighs in at just 27 ounces and travels easily, so you can exercise anywhere. If you want to get back into shape and your stomach's the problem, Gut Buster can help to fight the battle of the bulge. Try the Gut Buster now, and it's yours with a 30-day money-back guarantee of satisfaction. So go ahead, Gut Busters. If you're serious, and you're serious about a flatter stomach, just pick up the phone and exercise your right to call now. For holders of these credit cards, call your local number on screen now. For customers in Holland, you can order the Gut Buster using Accept Gyro. Call 802-802 for details. If you prefer to order by post, make your cheque or postal order in the UK, or Eurocheck or Gyrocheck in the rest of Europe, payable to Gut Buster, and send it now to our London or Brussels address, shown here. And please remember to print your name and address clearly. Thank you.
Tonight at 8:30, Canon Prima Fashion TV roams the capitals of style in search of the stories and personalities that shape the world we live in. Reports on the vogues of the season, the elegance of the slopes, the sophistication of the catwalk, comment and inspiration. For the latest word on all aspects of design, Canon Prima Fashion TV, tonight at 8:30, here on Sky. Wednesday at 7:30, action-packed adventure with Lefkas Man.
He wasn't much of a father, but I've got to try and find out what happened to him.
I'm afraid we're dealing with a sick mind.
What are we smuggling? I don't think you're in any position to be choosy.
A dangerous journey with high stakes and a powerful enemy.
Betrayal?
I'm trying to be friendly.
Stuff your friendship. I'm trying to find out the truth.
Lefkas Man, Wednesday at 7:30 on Sky. Monday on Sky, Mobile One Motorsports News.
keeping you up to date with the latest in international motorsports. Find out what's happened and what's happening in the exciting, action-packed world of motorsports. Mobile One Motorsports News, Monday at 10 on Sky.
This is Sky.
Soldiers on the streets of Armenia as the regional conflict with Azerbaijan becomes a national issue. The shape of the National Assembly in Paris after France's indeterminate election. And a funeral pyre for another victim of the sectarian conflict in Punjab. Also in Roving Report, life as it has always been in the remote Ancares mountains of Spain.
A television program on the violent unrest in Armenia and Azerbaijan. A witness relives the horror for the camera. Another demands honest presentation.
Do not take my words out of context.
It has all the elements of a controversial documentary, including the unexpected. But the real surprise is that after decades of heavy-handed censorship, this was seen by Soviet viewers. With Glasnost comes the responsibility to analyze and explain. Political commentators still toe the party line, but the lines changed. The importance the Kremlin attaches to the conflict in its southwestern republics was indicated by the director's reluctance to leave the job of interviewing to the interviewer. And its significance for the locals was shown by their willingness to argue with the man from Moscow. The ethnic disturbances stem from Armenia's demand to regain the enclave Nagorno-Karabakh from Azerbaijan. The dispute has festered for decades, and the latest eruption threatens the stability of the entire region. A region otherwise noted for its tranquil beauty. Soviet TV took pains to stress that calmness and happiness could still be found on the streets of the Armenian capital, Yerevan, and to explore the religious heritage of this predominantly Christian republic. Armenia's history was traced and its rich contribution to the cultural life of the Soviet Union. But in Armenia's past lies a memory of suffering burnt deep into the spirit of the people. It has shaped their fierce sense of national identity and dates from 1915, when hundreds of thousands of Armenian men, women, and children were massacred by Turkish troops. More than 1 million are believed to have been slaughtered, and they will never be forgotten in Yerevan. Armenia's rival in the battle for Nagorno-Karabakh was also presented in a positive light. Baku, the capital of Muslim Azerbaijan, played a strategic role in the revolution and in the Soviet Union's great patriotic war against Hitler's Germany. The city which helped fuel that war effort was portrayed as a cosmopolitan and thriving center. The commentary spoke of a diversity of nationalities, lending strength to, rather than undermining, the unity of the Soviet republics. There were examples of bonds of friendship transcending national or religious differences, like the schoolgirls, one Azerbaijani, one Armenian. Or the village officials drawn from 3 of the 100 nations which make up the Soviet Union, an Armenian party secretary working in harmony with an Azerbaijani chairman and a Russian secretary. Such stories of individual instances of happy coexistence were presented not only as the ideal, but as the general rule. The program made a compelling case for understanding and cooperation between republics, but eventually had to turn its attention towards the much grimmer reality of the regional crisis, as it teeters towards a national emergency for the whole Soviet Union. After the pretty pictures, there came this. The worst social unrest since the revolution. Armenians living in Nagorno-Karabakh protested against living under Azerbaijani control any longer and called for the enclave to be reunited with their native Armenia. A message from Gorbachev himself was relayed to the crowd, his pledge to a...